So let's start off with something pretty straightforward. What exactly is a microbiome and why should we care or know about it?
A microbiome is all of the microbes that are in a community that are interacting with each other and with their environment. So they're made up of viruses, bacteria, archaea, fungi. And the reason that we should care about microbiomes is because we're beginning to learn that they help define us as humans. They're an important part of our human identity. We're more microbe than we are human, and we're discovering that our microbiome is really important to our health and well-being. What is the boundary, or is there a boundary to our own human microbiome? So do I end where I can see my body, or do you and I actually have a microbial cloud or aura that is interacting with one another right now while we're having this conversation?
In school you learn that bacteria and germs are really bad for you. So you're saying that potentially we're fundamentally rethinking that, right?
We're completely rethinking our relationship with microbes. And you're right, when I learned about microbes, I thought about pathogens and invisible organisms that could kill me and that I wanted to keep away from me. But we now know that the majority of microbes in and on us are either benign or they're beneficial to us. And so there's a diversity of microbes. Some are good, some are bad, and some are neutral.
So there's lots of people working on this, and there are people who are thinking about this in the mouth, in the gut, in animals, but your work involves the built environment and the microbiome. So can you talk a little bit about that and what the implications are for how we build and how we should live with these microbiomes?
I'm fundamentally interested in where we acquire our microbiome, and given that people in the developed world spend 90% of their lives indoors, so I'm going to spend 90% of my life indoors, and so will you. It's important to me to understand how the design choices that we make impact the microbes that we live with, and in turn, the degree to which we're picking up microbes from the built environment, and if that matters to health. So I feel like we should be learning in parallel about the microbes that are directly in and on us, but also about the potential sources of microbes, and the built environment is very likely one of those.
So do you envision a day, or how many years before we start comparing microbiomes in different communities and schools? And you can imagine a scenario when you're looking to buy a house, or you're trying to move into a community or send your kids to school, and you say, oh, I wonder what that microbiome looks like. So is that a foreseeable future? How many years before we even get to that point?
So I'm willing to speculate, because this is the what's next health conversation. And I foresee that at least within the next decade, it is very plausible that in addition to looking at metrics like green space and air pollution as we know it now, which is really focused on air chemistry and particulate matter physics, that we will also have an idea of what kinds of microbiomes tend to affiliate with different neighborhoods, for example. And one of the reasons that I foresee this may be a possibility is because of a study that was, I think it came out last year, demonstrating that it was a correlative study, but it showed that kids in houses that were surrounded by diverse vegetation had a diverse set of bacteria on their skin, and they had a lower risk of being susceptible to allergies and asthma. And because of this, what I really think the connection is likely the urban microbiome, so the microbiome that's in the air and that's on surfaces in the built environment. So I can imagine a day when there is a metric that tells you something about the types of microbes that you might be choosing to live amongst if you decide to live in a particular neighborhood or send your kid to a particular school. What I envision is that in any kind of environment, not even just in a schooling environment, but in all of the places where we live, work, and play, is it possible to make design choices that give rise to and promote the growth of microbes that are healthy and suppress the growth of microbes that we don't want to have around?